If you're preparing to take the IELTS test, there's a lot to take in. What's the test format? How long do you have for each section? What do you need to produce in the speaking section? How much do you have to write in the writing section? Look, I get it. You've got a lot riding on these results. Maybe there's a work visa that needs a certain score. Maybe you need to get a particular band score for a student acceptance or a student visa. You miss out on getting the score you need and those dreams are gone, vanished, just like that. So you take a look at the IELTS test and you're a bit concerned. Reading, listening, okay, that I can do. But speaking and writing, okay, now I'm scared. Speaking and writing are productive tasks. You have to produce something, a speech, an essay. And so they take higher level skills than reading or listening, which are receptive tasks. You receive the information. You just have to understand someone else's materials in the reading and the listening. Okay, so you work hard. You work hard at improving your skills for speaking and writing. You increase your vocabulary, you focus on your grammar, and you think, well, that's good because your scores in the reading and listening will naturally get better anyway, right? Well, maybe not. Now, I'm making this video because I have recently seen a disturbing trend in the IELTS scores of my contacts. That is people who have prepared with me and people who have prepared through self-study. They are hitting the target on speaking and writing, but they're often missing out on reading and listening, and therefore they're not getting the band score that they want. Now this year, that is 2023, every single person who has reached out to me because they did not get the band score that they were looking for did not get the score for reading. Every single one. And usually only reading. They're getting their scores for speaking, writing, and listening, but reading is letting them down. And I can see why. Most people choose to prepare for IELTS by improving their speaking and their writing skills. They focus on those skills alone. But it's just not that easy. If it was easy to get a great score in reading and listening, then everyone will be getting a band 8 or 9 for that section, right? Well, that's not the way it works. The IELTS test needs to be able to see the difference in the scores of someone between an 8 and a 9, or a 6 and a 7. And so those tasks are actually really challenging. You need to be preparing for all 4 sections equally, or you will miss out on your band score. In this video, I will deep dive into the reading section, and I will show you why you shouldn't be reading at all, and what you should be doing instead. So let's start the deep dive with the question that is right in the front of your mind. If I shouldn't be reading to do the IELTS reading test, what should I be doing and why? Let's start with the why first. You will have 1 hour to read 3 passages and answer 40 questions. So that is 20 minutes per passage. Let's say there's 13 questions per part, although one will be 14 to make 40 in total. Now, you're going to have 1.5 minutes per question. And the passages are quite challenging. There is complex vocabulary, You will come across words that you have never heard before. There is sophisticated grammar structures that may confuse you, and the information is often hidden away inside the text. If you spent your time trying to read and deconstruct the information, trying to fully understand the passage before answering the questions, you're going to fail. Without question, you will simply run out of time. You need to approach the reading task very differently in order to set yourself up for success. Instead of reading, which is actually what is called reading for comprehension, that is, reading each word, each sentence, and trying to understand it all as a whole thing, you need to learn to skim and scan to find the information quickly. And in fact, you probably don't need to read the passage for comprehension at all. Think more like a detective looking for clues, rather than someone sitting back and enjoying a good story with a great cup of tea. Now, you may enjoy reading. I certainly do. And I strongly encourage you to keep reading. Keep enjoying it. It's an essential part of learning a language. But in the IELTS test, what you need to do is very different. And so you need to spend time learning the skills that you will actually need to use on the day. Can you see now why so many people underestimate the preparation required for the reading test and why they are failing the reading section of IELTS? People often think that reading is quite easy, at least compared to speaking and writing. But do they ask themselves if they find skimming and scanning easy? Now, that question most people haven't considered. Now, there's great news in this for you. Once you gain the skills needed to skim and scan, it will help reduce test-taking stress. You don't need to worry about trying to understand every complex word, every sophisticated grammar structure, which can be overwhelming. Instead, you focus on finding the information you need hidden in the text. Remember? Detective. So what is skimming and scamming? Let's look at them one by one. Skimming is when you glance over the document and look for the key words or phrases in order to find only the general or the main idea. What is this document about? What is this paragraph about? You don't need to understand it all. Skimming is a strategic, selective reading method in which you focus on the main idea of the text. You need to deliberately skip text that provides details, stories, data, or any other elaboration. Instead, focus on the introduction, the first and the last sentence of the paragraphs, any words that stand out, and any text features. Do you know this is actually how proficient readers read? We don't read every word one by one. Take a look at this passage for a minute. Now let's look at it as a full piece of text. When we read, our eyes do not move in a straight line over the page. They skip from word to word. They may also skip words and move backwards and forwards as they try to focus on certain words. This helps the brain to understand what is written. How did you go with that? Could you read the first slide? Now, this is how proficient readers of English read, and as an English learner, you may struggle with this for now. But this skill will come, even if it's challenging for the moment. And did you see that last sentence? This helps the brain to understand what is written. When I'm reading something, I don't try and understand every word. I'm trying to understand the message. Now, I think you can better understand what the word skimming means. You're not necessarily going to skim sentences, but you will be skimming a passage. When you are skimming a passage for IELTS, you are not skim reading like this, unless of course you can, which will be very helpful for you. But even if you cannot, you are using similar strategies to look in a text for the meaningful pieces of information only, to help you understand what the passage is talking about. Scanning is a little different. Scanning is when we are skipping through the text quickly to look for a particular piece of information. Think, you have a question you need to answer. You have skimmed the document and you know that paragraph 2 talks about the topic that you're looking for. Now, inside paragraph 2, you are looking for the exact answer to the question. You're scanning for the words or ideas that will pinpoint the sentence you need to then read. That is, read for comprehension in order to answer the question correctly. So the overall process for answering an IELTS reading passage question goes like this. Open the passage and skim the document. Get an overall idea of what the document topic is and what the paragraph ideas are. Now read the questions that you need to answer. Go back to the document and scan the right area for the required information. You can usually go straight to a paragraph to focus in on finding what you need, like a detective. If you need to, you can read for comprehension just 1 or 2 sentences to be sure you have the right answer. And this is a lot more efficient than reading the passage in all its complexity, then reading the questions, and then starting to answer them. So, you will have more time, less stress, and actually a higher level of accuracy in your answers. So that's a win-win-win situation. So remember the process. Skim read the overall passage, read the questions, scan the part of the text to find the detail needed to answer the question. Simple. There's one last tip I need to give you. You don't need to get every answer correct unless you are looking for a Band 9 result. So it's fine to skip some questions that are just too challenging. There's no need to feel bad. This is part of the test. So start with the easiest question first. Maybe that's question 3. Answer that question correctly and then go to the next easiest question. You can go back to the questions you've missed and spend the last part of your 20 minutes on those questions. Maybe you're not going to get them right, maybe you will. But you know what? A good detective always follows the clues, right? The next clue is that the questions are in the same order as the information in the passage. That is, the answer to the first question in the group will be found before the answer to the second question, and so on. So, if you have answered question 1 and question 3, you have trouble answering question 2. Well, you know the answer for question 2 is in between the answer for question 1 and 3. So you can try and find the answer, if you can, like putting together a jigsaw puzzle by starting with the edges and working your way in. Now, why don't you get started on improving your skimming and scanning skills and answering IELTS reading questions today. How, you may ask? Well, now you know what you need to do. You can do some practice tests to bring your skills up to speed on your own. If you are having trouble doing it alone, or you need to perfect this quickly as you have very little time to explore it yourself and you need to get a certain band score in the test, you can definitely consider some IELTS test prep coaching. And there are so many options available out there. You can do one-on-one coaching with a qualified trainer. You can do group coaching with a qualified trainer. You can buy self-study books. These are all incredibly helpful methods for learning. If you want to get some support from me in building up the skills that you need to excel in IELTS in a step-by-step program, there are 2 ways to do this. Firstly, I do have a one-on-one coaching program. It's done with me on Zoom. That is for the entire IELTS test, that is reading, listening, speaking and writing. Each session is tailored to your weakness and the program is built for you, what you need to achieve and where you're starting from. But you will get the most effective improvement from this approach. That is whether this is from me or another qualified trainer. But I do want to let you know I have another program available. Now this is a 2-week daily email program just for reading. Well, actually for each of the skill sets separately. It's what I call an asynchronous program. Each day you will receive a recent IELTS reading test. One passage with 13 or 14 real-life questions that were used recently. Now you can practice your skimming and your scanning to answer the questions and send your answers to me. I will give you the answers, let you know which ones you got right, which ones you didn't get right, and I will give you some feedback on your progress daily by email and voice messaging. And in this 14-day period, I'm available for you to ask any questions that you have. So if you are finding something challenging, let me know and I will give you some support for this. So if you want to get a better understanding of a word or a phrase that is concerning you, just send me a message. It's like I am there with you to help you complete your own self-study for 2 weeks. And you will be amazed at how much progress you can make in just 2 weeks. So if you want to take advantage of any of these options, one-on-one coaching with me by Zoom, you're interested in the asynchronous program, drop me a message and let's have a conversation about how we can make this work for you.